Hey, Inspired Tribe, how's it going? Welcome to the Inspired Livestream right here on the Inspired channel. We're excited that you're here. My name is Jean Nolan. This is my wonderful wife, Kristin Nolan, behind the camera, the voice of wisdom from the other side that whispers to us. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free, Inspired Tribe. Remember, affirm, repeat. We are healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. This has been our mantra for 175 live streams now. We're excited that you're here. Welcome everyone, the new tribesters. Welcome to the Inspired Tribe. To the Inspired, that's how you spell this, Inspired. Welcome to the tribe. As we've said so many times before, there's no membership fee. There's no sign-up form. All you have to do is just show up and you're part of the tribe. Hey, Marco. Hey, Randy. Hey, Agnieszka. It's wonderful to see you all, and thank you for being here. You'll see this is a beautiful tribe, wonderful people all across the planet now that are connecting with each other, that are talking to each other, that are doing meditations together, that are expanding together. It's really a beautiful journey, and so much has happened in just 1 year. And for those of you who are new, before we dive into today's topic, which is a big topic, what is the Great Awakening? What does it really mean? And we're going to go and take a really quite in-depth look because so many, and we've seen this, we've seen this in your messages and emails. There are experiences that so many of you are sharing, but you don't realize that so many are sharing it. Everyone's kind of having this personal, intimate experience with this. However, that's what the tribe is for. That's why we wanted to connect you guys. And this channel, the Inspired channel, really came about in two big stages. And there's a lot of in between that happened. But the first big stage was I came out of a meditation in early spring of 2019. And it was a very distinct thought in my head that was put there, a very clear vision. Create a YouTube channel, call it Inspired. And I took it one step at a time. I didn't even tell Kristin about it for the first couple of days. I was just, doing stuff. And then eventually I told her. And then a year later, the channel had grown quite beautifully. A year later, Kristin came out of a meditation that was right at the beginning of the big virus craziness. And she said, I have the clear inspiration. We should do daily live streams. And so for months and months last year, we would do daily live streams, which now turned into 3 times weekly. And this is where we're at a year later. So the channel is really 2 years and a few months old now, and or young, shall we say. And we're really excited that you're all here with us, the wonderful founding members of the tribe and the newer members of the tribe. And what we really do is we're peeling the onion. There is no off limits topic. What we're doing is it's all about empowerment, but not the ego empowerment, not man, how awesome am I and how beautiful am I, how rich am I? It's about the empowerment of the true spirit that you are. And that's what this live stream is about. And we're doing it in all kinds of ways. You can go back on the playlist here and check out all the previous 174 live streams. So without further ado, let us dive into today's topic. This has been something that has come up because so many are on this path or have been or are have been waking up. And there's so many questions around this topic. And we'll go and peel the onion in our tradition as we always do. So let's dive into it. What does this really mean? What is the Great Awakening? And if you were to look it up, you would actually find that there's a historic period in our history that is called the Great Awakening. And that was in the early 1700s, mainly here in America. The Great Awakening was a return from more rational, pragmatic views to more religious views and ways of life. So that was the first thing in our history that was called the Great Awakening. Ironically, it was preceded by a time that was called the Enlightenment, which was really all about making things logical, rational, and resorting a lot to the left brain hemisphere of human beings. And while these terms today are so important and they're everywhere, Enlightenment and Great Awakening, they don't really have much in common with the historic description of those terms. Today, when we talk about the Great Awakening, we really talk about two pillars. And usually what happens is either you wake up on this side or you wake up on this side, and best case scenario, eventually those two pillars meet. That's the best case scenario. So the two ways to awaken, and we'll talk about what that means actually. Awaken from what? I mean, I've been awake all my life. I go to sleep at night. What does awakening mean? What the hell? Is a spiritual or physical awakening? Those are the two distinct pillars. But awakening really means, and we'll go into the depths. It means that you are becoming open to looking at your life, at who you are, and at your physical reality in completely new ways. And why we call this the awakening is because most people in their formative years, 0 to 7 approximately, they are being infused with a belief system and with a view system of how they believe the world is and how they view the world. And once they have formed that belief system, for most people, fundamentally, it never changes again until they leave this planet. They add to that system. They switch out certain smaller beliefs. But for the most part, it has been for a very long time in our history. There's a belief system that I get from my parents, I get from my environment, I get from my elders, and I'm carrying this on for the rest of my life. The awakening means a very kind of a shock event, a distinctive event that happens in your life that opens your eyes to new possibilities, new realities, where you see things in a completely new light, and hence you are ready and willing to change what you have believed completely. If we could sum the awakening process up in a short nutshell thing, that would be it. But let's go into how it happens, how it unfolds, what it means for the planet, and what's going to happen in the near future and in the future a little further ahead. That's all important. So for a lot of people, they only ever speak about the positive, beautiful things of the spiritual awakening. But I want to go into a few reactions that a lot of people have when it first begins to happen that are not positive at all, and that scare them and that put them into a state of contrast. So I put a little list together here. One of those things that happens when your spirit awakens, and we'll talk about what that means, is you feel anxious, or you even feel panicked. You have all of a sudden extremely high empathy. It's like you can pick up everyone's feelings and everyone's pain. You just can't help yourself but feel their pain and suffer with them. You're even beginning to feel a little crazy or questioning your sanity, because everything is different. You feel things differently. You sense things differently. You have a heightened awareness for even the things that are beyond the visible. So in the invisible realm, the psychic senses that we all have to a certain extent, they kind of come out of control for a lot of people. They just receive weird messages, and so those are not very pleasant things that are happening. Then people begin to develop mental health concerns. Am I going crazy? This is not normal. Everybody else thinks differently, feels differently. What's going on with me? And then also physical pains. Everything in the body is now confronted with a completely new energy. And so your joints, your bones, headaches, everything begins to react to that as well. And a very big theme is people say, I just can't seem to either stand still, or I'm in the air all the time. I can't ground my energies. So those are some of the initial signs of a spiritual awakening. And why these signs are quite severe and extremes, or these effects, is because you are literally, when this happens, you're literally beginning to change everything about you. And you can't even help it. You can't even really do anything for or against it. So we just want you to know, if you've experienced some of these things or are experiencing them, this is nothing out of the ordinary. This is something that happens when big changes happen in our lives. We have these physical, psychological, physiological reactions. But as soon as that begins to slow down a little bit, and if you can stop yourself from trying to fight all of that and just accept that it's part of the journey, you very quickly very quickly move into some really positive and beautiful signs that so many people are experiencing when this spiritual awakening begins to happen. And again, we're talking about the first pillar here. That's the spiritual awakening. And that is a realization that there's more than you can sense, more than you can sense with your five senses, right? So there's more to life, more to your experience than what you taste, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, and what you touch, which are the senses that we were brought up with. You know, that's how you filter reality. All of a sudden, you can now experience things beyond those senses, and that's a big sign of spiritual awakening. Again, you don't have to have words for it. If these words now begin to resonate and you say, man, I just couldn't put words to it, that's enough. You don't have to have the words and you don't have to explain yourself. But that's what happens to a lot of people. Then people begin to comprehend that there are greater laws at work than even just the pure physical laws that we're taught about in school, and of course the man-made laws, that there are universal laws in place. This concept begins to materialize in our experience. Again, a lot of people can't put words to it, but they begin to become very sensitive to stuff like karma, or what you sow is what you reap. All the expressions that we have for a law of, now there's this term law of attraction, of course, but laws of synchronicity, all these universal laws, you just begin to sense that there's more of that. Also, there is almost for everyone a deeper and a greater connection to the all that is, and you could call it God, you could call it Ra, you could call it universe, you could call it the great spirit. But you begin, when you spiritually truly awaken, you begin to have this personal, intimate relationship that is beyond going to church, actually, beyond listening to other interpreters of faith. It's a personal, intimate experience that you have that expresses itself in perhaps different ways than you were used to. Maybe you get very emotional in nature. Maybe you begin to see the spirit and the soul in animals. Maybe you begin to experience that everything around us is a living space in a creation of God, and you feel that deep connection. Another sign of spiritual awakening is that no matter what your personality was before, now you kind of feel very altruistic. You have a tendency to help others. You want to better the planet. You want to better your communities. You want to have a positive impact on everything, not just your family, not just your kin, but your bigger community and the world at large, the planet at large. That's a big sign too. It's a lot of times family members are completely caught off guard because someone that always led a very egotistical life, it's all about me and my needs and what I want, all of a sudden goes out and wants to change the world and help people in positive ways, empowers others. That's a sign of spiritual awakening, a big sign, actually. Again, then, of course, taking up more spiritual practices, beyond the regular prayer that you might have learned in church or that were passed on to you. You all of a sudden begin to engage in your own communication, whether that's through prayer or meditation, yoga, which is, a lot of people are beginning to realize, a spiritual physical practice rather than a physical/spiritual practice. It's really spirit-based, a very highly developed, logical way, actually, of connecting your true body intelligence with the all that is intelligence. So people begin to take up spiritual practices, living a more heart-centered life. All of a sudden, the left brain, the logical brain, analytical mind isn't as dominant anymore. You begin to make decisions based on your heart, what you feel, what your intuitions tell you, what you know to be right. You are looking for like-minded people. Spiritually awakened people are looking for a like-minded community, and they don't mind sometimes to go beyond their regular circle, beyond their city, beyond their country. It's all about feeling the connection with people that are experiencing similar things than you are. And a less importance on pure materialism is a very clear sign of a spiritual awakening. You might still enjoy material things, but they don't have the importance in your life anymore. It's not all about that gathering stuff, showing stuff off. That becomes less and less important. It's a thing you use rather than something you worship, if that makes any sense. And one of the clearest signs, of course, is a return to nature, which is bigger than just going out into the woods. Actually, it's a beginning to ask yourself, what are the natural ways of living, of eating, of breathing, of communicating, of sleeping? You begin to adjust your lifestyle to a more natural, more in harmony with all that is. These are all very clear signs, and there are many more. And we have to keep in mind that every experience is intimate and personal to the person. It's not, you cannot say it's the same for everyone, but these features, these signs, is things that everyone experiences that we know, or we have experienced in the past. And that's the first pillar. So the Great Awakening is people begin it either in the spiritual realm, and that's the first big thing that happens in your lives, or it is a more physical oriented awakening, which is still very big for most people. And that more physical oriented awakening means that people are realizing that the world, and here we want to really speak about the world as opposed to the earth, not the planet, not the natural space. When we say world, it means all human-made systems and structures. Everything that humans created in our human system, that's the world, whether that's, countries, borders, economic systems, social systems, financial structures, medical, scientific structures, all of that is worldly. It's something that humans have created. So signs of the physical awakening, the matrix awakening, if you will, are that the world around us isn't what we think it is. We begin to see through the lies. It's almost like at first we believed what was on the screen, and now we realize there's so much more depth to the picture. That's when people begin to awaken in that sense, others call them conspiracy theorists. That's a clear sign that someone is having a physical awakening where they go, oh my God, nothing on this planet, nothing in this world really works the way I thought it did. And so you begin to see, if that happens to you, you begin to see through the programming, whether that's political, whether that's economical programming, advertisement programming, media programming, all those things, you begin to see that it's not truth, it's not authentic. There is deception in these things, and there's another motive for the things that are unfolding in front of you. You begin to, it's like in the beginning, again, it almost causes you to ask yourself, am I the only one who can see this? This is crazy. I can sense that this is a lie. I can sense that they're not telling the truth. I can sense that there's something much deeper going on than what we're being told. And you're beginning to connect the dots. That's another sign. For most people that are having this awakening, they're beginning to study and research important world events beyond history books, beyond the regular websites and books that you can find. They're beginning to go in depth. What really happened? They're beginning to question whether what they have been told about historic events is true. They're beginning to question why it doesn't seem that, in medicine, that the well-being of the patient is really at the center of things. It always seems to be about money. It always seems to be so they are beginning to do their own research, coming to their own conclusions, and usually they're very different from the mainstream narrative. That's beginning. Absolutely always using critical thinking. That's something that annoys people around them. Because whenever they're in a discussion, we will say the matrix-minded people that live within the matrix, their opinions only vary slightly from each other. But if you are awakened, you're out of the box now. All of a sudden, you're looking at it from, wait, let's look at the big picture. And maybe your family, your friends, they're so annoyed by you because they go you always have to come up with these conspiracy theories. You always have to question everything. I mean, you're so negative. That's what they say. When you're really not negative, you're just questioning. You're questioning whether it's the truth, whether it's authentic, whether that is really real. And another sign is that people are beginning to base their decision on knowledge that they put together, not someone else did it for them. They're beginning to change their life based on what they have found out, researched, and logically concluded, which is oftentimes completely different from what they have been taught by their families, well-meaning families. There's usually not a lot of deception in the family. It's just what they have been taught by their teachers and professors and by society at large. And so these awakened people then begin to create a life that's very different from the life of others. One of the clear signs is you want to live independently from this matrix. You want to be out of it. You don't want to depend on anything within the matrix. You don't want to be a slave to the matrix. You really want to be free. And then two things really happen is, one thing, you want to be self-sufficient, self-reliable. And the second thing is, and that's very similar to the spiritual awakening, a return to nature. Almost everyone begins to withdraw from the artificial system to the return to the natural world. And this is where the two worlds begin to merge usually. And up until recently, we've talked about this, the recent years, there's always been a strong pillar here and a strong pillar there. And the two pillars did not really connect. There were people in the whole research and conspiracy, if you will call it, that's such a stupid word, by the way, in that community. And then there were people in a spiritual community, and they did not understand that they had wisdom and knowledge that combined creates the whole picture. That's why we said in one of the recent live streams that we see so many spiritually beautiful awakened people that are still supporting causes within the matrix that are not for the well-being of the planet and humanity. But when you connect the knowledge from here and the wisdom from here, you all of a sudden get the whole picture. And that is the great awakening unfolding that we're seeing on the planet today. It's when the spiritually awakened and the worldly awakened begin to connect with each other, exchange wisdom and knowledge, and all of a sudden a holistic image is being created. And those people are empowered. They are leaders for others. They begin to create not just ideas, but tangible, practical ways of living that are authentic to humans, that are honoring our true humanity, that are honoring the planet, that are doing those things. And that is the great awakening that we're seeing now. And the reason why this is such a big topic coming up everywhere, and why millions and millions of people they're not jumping on the train. They're literally realizing they're already on the train. They're just waking up from their little sleep, the nap that they had on the train. And they're seeing, oh my God, this is a whole different world. It's a whole new experience. Something really amazing is happening. And now we have so many people that are, again, in the midst. They're in right, it's kind of like having one foot on this chair and one foot on this chair, and you don't know what to do. We're not through this process by any means. It is very well advanced already. And Kristin and I joke about it because we thought 15 years ago, now it's going to happen pretty quick. We're going to have this big boom event, and we're going to have like a event of enlightenment. And we realized it is not working that way. It's a gradual process that has periods of extreme acceleration. We are in such a period of extreme acceleration. The reason is that because of more and more people having a heightened awareness and consciousness, the collective frequency, the collective vibration of the planet rises, and hence the experience accelerates. That's why time appears to be faster to you. I mean, look at the calendar. It's June 21st. Didn't we just begin this year? Didn't we just talk about the rest of the year? We're already halfway there. Today's summer solstice, people. It's the longest day. It's a beautiful, important event in many cultures. A portal day. And we're celebrating. And we didn't pick this topic for today by chance. It was brought to us to bring into the realm today. This process of awakening is very easy for some and very challenging for others. And the challenge comes from this inner resistance. and the knowing that if you really, really, it's not really committing. If you really allow for this to take place in your life, you will change completely. Your life will change completely. Your friendships will change. Your relationships will change. Everything you believed, or a lot of it, might dissolve and transmute into new beliefs. And that is actually the most beautiful thing that could happen for humanity and the planet at large, but very challenging as an individual. And we get that. And why we wanted to bring this to you is because this is happening to millions of people. It's not you alone. And it might feel to you like you're alone in your family, others are asleep, you're alone at work, others are asleep. But trust us, a big part of the reason why we created the Inspire Tribe is so you would see that you are not alone at all, and that there are so many people out there that are experiencing similar things. People are awakening to their true potential. We haven't even touched on what's going to happen within the next months and years, and how this old paradigm is going to fall apart. There's not a lot of, if we really see this through and not fight within ourselves, then this old paradigm is really going to dissolve. It's going to dissolve around us. And it's also the time of the peaceful warrior. You know, we've talked about this before. The peaceful warrior, even if the peaceful warrior has to fight, he or she won't fight against the enemy, won't fight against evil or darkness. They will truly fight for love, for truth, for peace, for authenticity, for a beautiful, kind way of living. And when the fight comes to your door, sometimes in life that happens, you'll know you're a peaceful warrior. You fight for love, for truth, for peace, for authenticity. What a beautiful thing. And then there's another big question mark that a lot of people have. Yes, what if we are millions that are waking up? That's not even half of the 7 or maybe even 8 billion population. That would be 3.5 to 4 billion people that would have to wake up for things to truly change. Now, that's the democracy model, right? But see, the invisible world, the quantum field doesn't work by the democracy model. The quantum field works by the highest frequency. And what you need to know is that actually it takes less than 1% of 1%, so 1/10 of 1% of the world population to completely shift our whole reality and the whole way we live together. 1/10 of 1%. Now you do the math. That's a lot of a smaller number right now. If you take 7 billion people, what is 1%? What is 1% of 7 billion? 7 billion is 7,000 million. So 700 million is 10%. 1% is 70 million people. Okay? And 1/10 of 70 million is 7 million people. That's what it takes. We are way beyond 7 million people on this planet, people. Way beyond 7 million. And to tell you about so much evidence in history that shows that it isn't about the 51% of the people. So many times this experiment has been repeated. But back during the most intense era of the Middle Eastern wars, there were monks that would travel close to Israel, close to that war zone, and a group of 15, 20 monks, they would engage in days of deep, peaceful meditation. Okay, they would bring the peaceful energy to the region, and they would repeat that as often as they could. And every single time in the days after this meditation meeting that they had there would be a ceasefire. Deaths, attacks, shootings, violence would go dramatically down, almost to zero. Now, 20 dedicated, peaceful, loving monks, and we are now becoming the equivalent of monks with how we practice, with how we live life. We're moving slowly into that energy. Buddhist monks, shall I say, created periods of peace by just meditating in that area by transmuting the energy and the frequency of that area. This can be and has been repeated in many different ways all across the planet, which means that if where we put our attention, what we engage in the most, if our purest energy is love and kindness, compassion, then if we connect our hearts with each other, which we do every time we meet here, if you tune in, you're tuned in with your heart, we create an energy field that can be felt around the world and that has an impact on the world. That's what the Great Awakening is, to understand we don't have to just physically manipulate reality. We change reality by changing ourselves, our field, our transmission. That's how we change the energy around the planet. Do we have to do physical things too? Yes. Do we have to take inspired action in the physical realm too? Yes. We have to do those things as well. It isn't just meditation. It isn't just becoming a new emitter of vibration. But that's the main work, is in that invisible realm. And so the Great Awakening is you honoring who you really are, your commitment, understanding that you are one piece, one crucial, important, beautiful, wonderful, unique piece of the puzzle of all people on this planet. And when you allow yourself to awaken to your true potential, you put your own puzzle piece into the whole picture, and it's a perfect fit. It's a perfect match. You then fulfill your purpose in this big play that we call life with perfection. You don't have to be perfect to fulfill it, but when you are who you truly were meant to be, you fulfill your role perfectly. And so all the pieces come together, and so the whole picture can change. And that's what the Great Awakening is really about. And we will, and that's the last big question that people have. What will it look like? What will the new ways of living look like? We're creating them. What I can tell you is it will be in a newfound harmony with each other and nature. So we will as collectively develop a love for the natural realm like we do for our own children. We will love the trees and the animals and the sky and the water and the rocks and the mountains and the hills and the meadows and the fields, just like we love our own children. We will understand that there is a common energy that connects us all. So part of that new way of living will be this newfound harmony within us all for that. And for each other, of course. We will begin to find the wisdom in a true moral compass that we have in life that is more important, these principles, than anything else. That is going to guide the world rather than any other lower vibrational interest. It's going to be the fundamental morals and values and principles of our living together that's going to guide and be the shining light. We are going to eventually break through this last layer of heaviness that we can sometimes experience, of darkness that we can sometimes experience. There is going to be a breakthrough moment that we all are going to feel. It might not be this huge world event, but there will be a feeling. You will wake up one morning and you will know it's really done. It's completely done. We have really elevated ourselves to a new way of living. In that new way of living, there will still be challenges. There will still be things that we need to work out, but we will feel lighter. We will feel brighter. We will feel more connected. And there will be the fundamental baseline of the planet will be much higher, much brighter, much lighter, much more loving. And that time is coming, and it's coming soon. So there will be a brighter light around the planet. Even physically, I believe we will see colors differently. I believe the sky will get bluer, the grass will get greener, the water will get clearer. Our taste buds will get so much more inspired by the true taste of life. I believe all of that is in our lifetime. Not just possible, I see it happening. So there will be such a thing. But I want to encourage you to have inspiration most of the time. And when you don't have inspiration, muster up some willpower sometimes to see this through. Sometimes we need willpower. Sometimes we need to just show up and not give in and not give up, even when there's some bad news coming in, when there's some challenges coming in. We are past the point of no return. We've passed that point. We're 100% positive. And Kristin and I have been on this journey for a long time now, and we have felt when we passed that threshold, we felt it, we feel it, we have passed it. Have trust, have faith in that. But many more will still awaken, and many more won't. Another thing just to keep in mind, many more won't. That is fine. It's okay. They're not going to be able to make that journey all the way with us, and they have their own puzzle piece thing going on. They have their own purpose, their own timing, their own journey. This is okay. We need to be okay with that. We can't force anyone into anything. We can only love ourselves and lead by example for others to follow the shining light. And this is not a utopia that we're talking about. This is not something that's coming from outside of you. You are truly the one you have been waiting for. And then you connect with, and this is what this all leads to. And I used my board here today because I love my board. All of this leads to one destination, and one destination only, in your own way, at your own pace, in your own time. Everything leads to here. Whether you call it God, or Ra, or universe, all that is, all that ever will be, it all leads to the realization that we're part of something truly greater, and that there's not a judging, hating God that sits on a throne and sends the lightning down to punish those whom he thinks are not worthy. It doesn't work that way. We are part of that eternal energy. It's within us. There's a spark within us. When we awaken to that, we have a natural knowing. We have a natural connection. We feel God. We feel the guidance. And we understand that everything that was created from that inspiration and that energy. And we begin treating each other that way. That's where it all leads to. It's your own journey, your intimate experience that no one can dictate to you. No one's responsible for that either. It's your journey, but there are helpers, there are light workers, there are friends, there are counselors, there are guides, strangers. Man, how many beautiful connections we've made with strangers. Deepest conversations. Never met again. Just one deep conversation, life-changing. Appreciate, celebrate the uniqueness of life that's happening right now around you. There is so much purpose in all that's going on. Let's find it, live it, believe it, thrive on it. It's just a beautiful time to be alive. But we want to let you know that we do see the challenges. We do see the problems that many are still faced with. We do understand that sometimes you feel this so deeply, but it doesn't translate, and your bank account's still empty and you have a bill to pay. We do understand and see these things. These are not foreign to us, and we know that it looks like the one side and the other side don't go together. But what we can tell you is from personal experience, if you allow for this to really happen within you, and if you contribute to it in the positive ways you can, that other side will begin to take care of itself in magical ways. You'll have ideas, you'll have inspirations, you'll know where to go, what to do, who to call. The things will fall into place. Why we can say this is because this is how it's been in our life over and over and over again. Nothing here is theory. Everything we talk about is what we have lived and what we're living. Everything else would be hypocritical, and we don't do that. This is about authenticity. So trust us. If you trust you, if you trust what's going on, if you trust the guidance that you get in your own process and follow that, things will fall into place in your life. That is part of the Great Awakening. Tribe, thank you for joining us. There's also an open invitation for those of you who want to travel to a beautiful place on the beach, far away from the hustle and bustle of your everyday life. Click that link in the top section of the live chat and just check it out. If you're feeling inspired to join us for the Yado retreat in September, we would love to have you. There's still a few slots available. People have been signing up. If that's your inspiration, click it. But we want you to know this is never a sales pitch. There are wonderful teachers across the planet that are willing and able to help. If this is Kristin and I, we would be honored to help in the ways we can. If there's someone else, wonderful. Just allow for the natural progression of things, for the people that come into your life to be a guide or shining light in the moment that you need them. And don't forget that it is not just perfectly fine. It is wonderful if you can ask for help. There's not one person on this planet that we know that has done it all by themselves. Everyone has help at some point, and that is wonderful because we get to experience unconditional giving and loving unconditional receiving as well. Tribe, thank you for joining us today. We will be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central right here. Dive into a new journey, a new topic. We love seeing you. We love you all. You mean the world to us. And please connect with each other. This is a living, breathing, inspired tribe. You are making this what it is. So please connect with each other, whether that's here, whether that's in the Facebook groups, whether that's on our Telegram channel. Join our Telegram channel, Inspired on Telegram, and just chat. I know we still have to create that group, but we'll create that group where everyone can chat and write. And yeah, constantly expanding, loving people. We love you all. Have a blessed and wonderful day. We'll see you all tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central, right here on the Inspired channel.